because it's a very long article, so I'm not going to try, I mean a very long report, so I'm not going to try to read it. The whole point about it was that in 24 months, we have had such significant breakthroughs that we've moved way beyond those test humans and rhesus monkeys moving cursors about on computer screens. Now we've moved very quickly to extracranial neural caps, and now we're past that. And I'll describe some of this in a moment, that DARPA is presenting, but basically they can read minds. This is developing so quickly that even computer games makers are releasing new toy game systems this Christmas that allows users to control the game systems they're playing, role-play characters on screens, move things around on the screens just by thinking about it. Well, imagine, Steve, if you know, I don't play any games, and if I said Nintendo, that'll date me, but you know, that these games makers could be using this technology so you can put a rubber cap on your head and you can actually control a sophisticated game just by the neural impulses of your brain. Well, this has happened as a result of vast breakthroughs in military-driven technology development that was crafting all of these arrays of microelectrodes that can eavesdrop on hundreds, even thousands and tens of thousands of separate neurons simultaneously in the human brain. Well, they've developed the necessary computers, algorithms, now that can analyze accurately that data and interpret thoughts of computer code. Now, why is that important? Well, the National Institute of Health, DARPA, the U.S. Navy, they've been pumping millions of dollars every year into this kind of technology because they've imagined enhanced warriors downloading complex fighting procedures directly into their brains like in the Matrix, controlling these robotic jets with their thoughts, a la, you know, Clint Eastwood and Firefox, except way more sophisticated than we could have ever dreamed, or being remotely controlled, like the assassin in that recent remake of The Manchurian Candidate. Meanwhile, while this has been happening, patents were taken out on techniques aimed at recording signals from the brain of enemy personnel. They said enemy personnel. Who's an enemy? Steve, you're the enemy if you don't go along with the status quo, at a distance in order to read and control their thoughts. It wasn't, however, until the last 24 months that major breakthroughs for the vision that DARPA has been accomplished, and now what appears to be synthetic telekinesis is going to be headed to the battlefield, where you're going to have regional, now I'm going to use this term, Wi-Fi bubbles. That's not exactly what it is, but I want people that are listening to this to be able to understand what I mean. They go into a motel anywhere, it's got a Wi-Fi, your computer can wirelessly connect. Well, these are going to be regional Wi-Fi bubbles, for want of a better term, that can be broadcast by a blimp high overhead, one of our other secret air ships, or even remotely from on the ground, that are going to cover vast regions, whole countries, if you will, Wi-Fi bubbles on the battlefield. Later, I think, maybe sooner than later, Steve, to be established over the U.S. homeland, too, where soldiers wearing nothing more than a neural reader that is no larger than a Bluetooth now on their ear will wirelessly be connected with within these range, these Wi-Fi bubbles that are going to cover whole continents. And they will be connected with each other and robotic war machines for total domestic and foreign battlefield domination. I'm going to read you actually part of a government report. This is a report to the military and also the Columbia University College Department of Neurological Studies. This was published just this week in the peer-reviewed Neurosurge Focus by S. Kochikov in a long article titled Brain-Computer Interfaces Military Enhancement with BCIs. Now, this is a 7-page article, so I'm just going to read you just a couple of parts. Quote, rapid advances in BCI technologies will create improvements within military training and operations, particularly through combat performance modification and optimization. They're talking about soldiers. In fact, the use of neuroscientific approaches for achieving these goals is already an evolving area of research. During the last decade, the Pentagon's DARPA launched the Advanced Speech Encoding Program to develop nanoacoustic sensors for speech encoding in acoustically hostile environments, such as inside of a military vehicle or an urban environment. The DARPA division is currently involved in the program Silent Talk that aims to develop user-to-user communication on the battlefield through EEG. Now, EEG, for those that are listening, this is electroencephalography. All that means is recording the electrical activity along the scalp that is produced by the firing of neurons within the brain. So you wear now their new extracranial neural reader. And so let me get back to this. Battlefield through EEG signals of intended speech. They don't have to speak. Intended speech, thereby eliminating the need for any vocalization or even body gestures. Some capabilities will be of particular benefit in reconnaissance and spatial operation settings. Let me jump forward. Enhancement of soldiers, their perception and control of vehicles or heavy machinery with BCIs are also now within the realm of possibility. A recent DARPA proposal for a cognitive technology threat warning system includes a requirement for operator-trained high-resolution BCI, that's brain-computer interfacing, that can quickly respond to a subconsciously detected target or threat. Such biological devices can have detection ranges of up to 10 kilometers against dismounts and vehicles. I have to jump forward. There's so much in this, Steve, that needs to be read, but I've got to jump forward.
Well, Tom,
through automated.
The bottom line is that we're dealing with the interception of thought and the dispatching or the termination, assassination of even thought. It's no longer action. In other words, actions are going to be precluded by a preemptive attack on the thought. Isn't that a way of saying it?
That is, and let me read further. Thus, future generations of auditory and visual neuroprostheses may allow soldiers to perform better during combat situations through automated detection and interpretation capabilities. Listen to this. The concept of telepresence, in which a soldier is physically present at a base or concealed location but has the ability to sense and interact in a removed real-world location through a mobile BCI device, has been projected to be available in application by 2015. Steve, we're talking about just in a couple of years. And that's what we know. Now, okay, so quickly, these expectations substantiated by recent advances in the operation of robotics using EEG signals such that control of cargo, let me see if I can jump forward here, weapons development protocols, the ability of BCI devices to expand human capacities must, now you totally have to read through the lines here, the ability of brain-computer interface devices to expand human capacities must be viewed in light of the advantage they grant soldiers to perform and succeed in combat missions. In this context, development of BCIs can be seen as making a paramount contribution to the national security, which citizens, including physicians, have a social duty to support. Equally important is the distribution of this technology. Now, Steve, listen carefully to this final part, and then I'll stop it because there's just so much in here that's incredible. If an existing BCI application has the potential for significant benefit in a much wider population, it would be ethically questionable to sequester its use without justly distributing it to the society at large, end quote. In other words, Steve, this isn't just new enhancement arms race by the U.S. military. What they're saying is it's going to start there, but then the public at large needs to be advised resistance is futile. You will be assimilated.
Absolutely.
This is the spookiest stuff, and this is a report to the military. This is only one of the ones why there was a conference in Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago saying this is not only going to change asymmetrical warfare, this is going to change society, culture, the public at large. We are talking about enhanced humans as actually the next arms race, but eventually then it's going to actually begin changing the society at large. Well, you and I have talked before about how DARPA has been at the lead in human enhancement studies, military objectives for decades. They've invested billions of American tax dollars into the Pentagon's Frankensteinian dream of super soldiers. Well, it's coming home to roost, Steve, because now they are becoming public about this. They're making this information available to the public, and they're basically saying that you need to be informed. You need to get used to the idea, because this is tomorrow, and whether you like it or not, it's coming.